Now, we have come to our last workshop for today, which is entitled How to Teach with Note and Notability Apps. It is our pleasure to welcome Dr. Harwati Hashim from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, who will facilitate this workshop. But before we begin, a little bit about Dr. Harwati. Dr. Harwati is currently the Deputy Dean of Undergraduate Studies, Faculty of Education, University Kebangsaan Malaysia. Her field of expertise includes teaching English as a second language, TESOL, teaching technology enhanced language learning, TEL, mobile assisted language learning, MOL, innovative pedagogies, the use of technology in language teaching and learning, and also active learning. She has won various awards such as Emerging Scholar Award in International Conference on E-Learning and Innovative Pedagogies in 2021 and Penghargaan Kecemerlangan Myra Prestasi 2019 Keseluruhan Penerbitan Pendanaan dan Inovasi Kategori Pensyarah, also in 2021. It is now my pleasure to invite Dr. Harwati to begin the session.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator, Ms. Nurul Hafizah or Ms. MC for the introduction. Hello, everybody. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi and a very good afternoon to everyone. I guess this is the final workshop for today. And as usual, as it at around 2:15, so I hope everybody is wide awake with me even after your lunch, and probably if by all means, if you are fine with it, can you please turn on your camera for a while so that we can probably get to know everybody before I begin the session. All right, while doing that, okay, can I share my screen? Okay, I'm using two devices for your information, technical team. I'm using Harwati Hashim as for the main platform for camera and audio. And meanwhile, I'm using Harwati's iPad on the other device for me to display my screen for sharing. So as for now, I'm sharing my other device, right? So let's just see all the participants' face for a while. Okay, thank you so much for the invitation. Can I get to share my screen? All right, okay. I need just to hijack my the screen. All right, thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen here. Probably before I begin, I think Ms. MC had introduced, I'll give a little bit of introduction about me. I'm glad to be invited to this conference and to conduct to run this 2-hour workshop. So I have with me around 43 participants perhaps, and kindly, if you are okay with it, I would wish you to turn on your camera for a while, and then I would also love to get to know everybody. Perhaps you can introduce yourself by stating your name and your department or your faculty using the chat feature. And I wish everybody to probably share a little bit about your background and your field of expertise. So we are almost, I think everyone has chosen the blue background, yeah? Okay, and like myself, I'm trying to get something that is contrast. I love the background very much. There are three backgrounds there, the shocking pink, the yellow color.
Yellow one, yeah. Thank you, Dr. Harwati.
Yeah, great.
Maybe
nice,
everyone can turn on their camera, or
just
maybe
for
everyone
a while.
is shy.
Okay, just for a while, perhaps get to know maybe if I can see any familiar faces here, perhaps. Right. Okay.
Yes.
I know everybody. Right. Thank you very much. Okay. So please kindly introduce yourself in the chat box. So I'll get to know everybody probably once in a while if I have to pick up at random the lucky ones for me to not to ask questions, just to ask feedback. All right. So again, my name is Harwati Hashim. I'm going to talk about how to teach with Notes and Notability Apps. So as for this workshop, I'm going to touch two important apps in my session. I am currently attached to Faculty of Education, University Kebangsaan Malaysia, and I am a certified Apple teacher as well as certified Apple professional learning provider. I was the head of the undergraduate program. Currently, I have been appointed as Deputy Dean for undergraduate studies, and at the same time, I'm attached to the research center of innovation in teaching and learning as a senior lecturer. My field of expertise is small, technology enhanced language learning TEL. I do look into innovative pedagogies. I look into active learning, specifically in the use of technology for teaching and learning, as well as language learning strategies. And at the faculty, I am currently teaching a few courses such as SMILE, social media and language learning strategies, teaching writing, current approaches, as well as academic writing when it comes to research and publication. And I am a member of Pacific Computer Assisted Language Learning PACCOL Association and also Mobile Learning Association Malaysia. As I mentioned, I am a certified Apple teacher as well as Apple professional learning provider. And I would like to thank everybody for joining this workshop with me for 2 hours. And I'm going to do a lot of demonstration. I would say I'm going to take everybody through the usage of 2 apps, which probably I can ask before I begin, any one of you in this virtual room has, I would say, iPad. Anyone with iPad? Can you all participants respond in the chat box whether you have an iPad? All right, Mr. Lazri or Dr. Lazri, you have an iPad. Okay, so we have a mix of those with an iPad or those without iPad. And if I were to highlight here, or if I were to emphasize, doesn't necessarily that you must have an iPad for you to do note taking. Of course, it is open for any type of devices using any other applications available either online or probably any apps that are able within the ones that are downloadable from apps. Okay, so my key points here, I'm going to look into these 3 main areas. So I'm going to look into deep understanding and visual note taking because my topic is on note taking. So I'm going to take everybody into a journey whereby why note taking is not to say important, but is an approach that encourage deep understanding. And I'm going to also discuss on how to create graphics and images. I would say that probably, I'm not sure what type of participants do we have here. Probably some of you are Gen Z, probably some of you are Gen Y, or probably Gen X, Generation X, or probably we have a mixture of baby boomers as well. It's okay, don't worry, but it's never too late for us to look into how to create graphics and images using drawing and sketching. Okay, and then I'm going to take everybody to explore teaching with notes and notability. Okay, even though if you don't have any iPad, it's okay because my main platform will be an iPad. It's okay if you don't have any iPad because still I'm hoping that whatever discussed within that capacity, especially on the understanding of visual note taking and creating graphics, you can use regardless of any device. So that's fine. So you just enjoy the process, enjoy the talk, and enjoy the content of the workshop. Yeah. All right. Okay. I'm audible, right? Loud and clear. Am I, Miss MC?
Yes, loud and clear.
Right, thank you very much. So it's very challenging because it is at 2:20 p.m. So hoping that everybody is wide awake with me. Up until if you have an iPad, if you have an Apple Pencil, you can go through the exercise with me together. Okay, all right, Miss Maria, right. You have an iPad? If you have an iPad, you can just go through the exercises with me together and get into the feeling of doing note taking using Notes and Notability. So I'm going to use 2 apps. Just to give you a little bit of overview, what are Notes and Notability? Number one, Notes is actually a built-in apps in iPad. You don't have to download because it is there. It is a native app. So it comes together in the iPad. So same goes to the one that you have probably in your Samsung phone. You have also Notes in iPhone, but of course, other devices, even MacBook, you have Notes on MacBook, but it could not be fully utilized in a form of note-taking. Yes, you can do note-taking, but what I'm going to focus here is the use of graphic and images. Otherwise, typing information, wordings, it's fine to use other devices. But my focus here is to use creating images and graphics for note-taking. So therefore, I would say compulsory devices would be iPad and Apple Pencil. But let's just go through with the content of the workshop. And the other one is Notability. Notability is an app that is payable. It's not free, so you have to buy Notability. However, I would suggest you to buy Notability, especially for educators, because it is not just about, don't worry, I did not receive any commission from them, especially from Notability. It's just me sharing what worth to be spending on. One of it is Notability because it's not that expensive. It's very cheap. I'm not sure about the current price, but when I bought it for lifetime license is 16 ringgit 90 cent. That was, I think, last year when they had this promotion, or else the price is 39 ringgit 90 cent. It's 39 ringgit. It's not $39. It's 39 ringgit 90 cent. So when I bought it, it was like 50% off, and it's 16 ringgit and 90 cent, if I'm not mistaken. So you can check it out, Notability. And of course, these two apps are meant for iOS, Apple ecosystem within iOS, not for Android. Okay, but of course, there are other tools for note taking that you can download that are always downloadable for Android, or as well as your laptop or desktop. Okay, so just to ask a quick questions to everybody before we begin into note taking. I would like to also ask if you have heard about or do you know what is an average span of a human? Can you share the answers in the chat? Probably Miss MC, you can also try your luck. There's no prize, definitely, because we are virtually, or else I'll bring chocolates to everybody, to participant who actually answered correctly. All right. Do you know what is an average span of a human? Probably you can share with me what would be the duration, or how many seconds, how many minutes. If we have, I think by now everybody should have some idea or some overview what would be the attention span. Okay, Ms. Zabiba or Dr. Zabiba is 20 minutes. Oh, 60 years. Okay. So your average average attention span, sorry, I missed out that word, average attention span, sorry, Mr. Jitendra. Yeah, attention span, yes, please, Siti Suraini, thank you very much, is an average attention span. Probably I can just write here, thank you. What is an average attention span of a human? 8 to 10 seconds, Ms. Nurhaliza. Miss Siti Suryani is 10 minutes, or 10 minutes, or Miss Sarah is 5 minutes. Nelly with 10 minutes, 13 minutes, right? So it's nearly about probably within 5 to 20 minutes, I would say, based on your answers. Okay, have you ever heard the goldfish myth? Anyone? You can just respond in the chat box, or feel free to unmute yourself and share your feedback. Have you ever heard the goldfish myth? Okay, so you've never heard of goldfish myth, Miss Nelly, Miss Sarah. Okay, all right, never heard of it, right? Great. Well, why do I bring in this goldfish myth? Is that heard only gold duck story? Okay, yeah, then everybody will become rich with that gold duck story. Okay, now this goldfish myth is all about average attention span, between a comparison between human and goldfish. And based on this particular research done by a few researchers out there, they've found out that goldfish has a higher attention span as compared to human. 1 second more compared to human. So they are with the goldfish, they are with 9 seconds, while human, we are with 8 seconds. This is something that is probably arguable for different school of thoughts, different scholars. They are still arguing about this, but this is what the goldfish myth had highlighted, whereby the goldfish has more attention span, which is in comparison more 1 second as compared to human 8 seconds. Yet still, well, we can say that human has a lower attention rate as compared to goldfish. That means basically probably this one, as what we said, one size doesn't fit all. So probably in this 8 second case may not be across genre, across gender, across group age, or across learners generation. But what we have in mind is that word, that particular phrase, 8 seconds of attention span, human. Okay. All right. So I'm taking everybody into deep understanding in visual note taking. Can anyone please share with me, have you ever done note taking before? One is note taking. Have you ever done visual note taking before? Yes, everybody do note taking. Everyone, you take jot down notes when you heard of anything. Probably on your on a piece of paper, probably on your phone, probably in any other devices. But what about visual note taking? Have you done that before? Unless if you are very good at drawing, those people who are very good at drawing, sketching, so they have a lot of visual note takings. But perhaps for us, people like, I would say people like me, sometimes even though I communicate using images, yeah, I do love using doing visual note taking, but probably need to practice more on the drawing itself, need to polish, need to improve my drawing skills. All right, so Nelly, I've never done note taking before, yeah? All right, so what I'm going to show here, okay, take this into consideration. What we want to say as a teacher, I'm assuming that everyone is educator here, or probably we have learners in this conference as participant. So you may want, it's open for discussion. It could be something that you want to discuss further between what we want to say as a teacher and what they are interested in. I mean, the learners, referring to the learners. So the overlapping elements between what we want to say and what the learners are interested to listen is what we call the relevance area. And we talk so much. If you notice, for 2 hours, we have done a lot of input delivered. But at the end of the day, your learners, what they are interested in is very little. So out of that 2 hours, probably, and then out of that their curiosity, you can see that very little relevant areas overlap between what we want to say and what students are interested in. So this is very interesting. The fact that not everything that we are trying to deliver are actually able to attract students' attention. Okay, so you can see here, you can see this probably this is our learners, they are all sleeping, yeah? While we are very excitedly talking and delivering our content on the other side, probably the other side of the gallery, especially with the camera off, you never know, God knows what is happening behind the screen. Okay, all right. So what is deep understanding? Before getting into visual note taking, we want to know what is actually deep understanding. And Dunleavy and Milton in 2008, back in 2008, they said that to use their minds well through deep engagement in learning. So there are two things that we may need to focus to integrate into what we would like to use, especially in this visual note taking, is to consider the use of mind as well as deep engagement in learning. Okay, and remembering pieces of factual information alone is not understanding. That is more of memorization, remembering pieces of information. To have deep understanding is to be able to put the pieces together. It is like a puzzle whereby it's a bit of information here and there, and then our learners are able to put the pieces together and use such understanding to do other things such as solving issues, solving problems, create new ideas, analyze information, solving tasks, apply in other conditions as well. So those are actually getting into deep understanding. All right. So what is visual note taking? So far, is everything good? Okay.
Yes, good.
All right, thank you very much. At least I know someone is there behind the screen. All right, so what is visual note taking? Visual note taking, as you can see here on the, is my left, or is on your the left part of the slide, is where instead of using a lot of words, we use images to present our information. Okay, and this is what we call in a form of visual, because it is not like a normal note taking whereby you use words to represent information, but rather graphics and images. Okay, so visual notes are drawings that use a combination of text. So we still use text in between and imagery to convey key points. So what we are looking at is only key points from either presentation, meetings, class lecture, or anything. Okay, it's really anything, as long as you are able to put pieces of information together within one context. So for example, why use visual note taking in education? So I'm bringing in the elements of education here. Why note taking in education, especially why note taking in teaching and learning? Because number one, it allows students to create personal meaning and relevance. So as you, as a teacher or as an educator, even if our students are able to do visual note taking, it allows them to create personal meaning and relevance, whether they are able to relate what they have learned. And then this visual note taking can increase comprehension and data retention, whether it helps them to be able to understand once they putting the puzzles together. When they are able to put the puzzles together, whether they can comprehend what they have learned, and then whether they are able to remember. That is what most important. Remember the goldfish myth just now? Even after what they have learned, if they can put into pieces, that means they are able to remember what they have learned. And then help students to synthesize big ideas. If they are able to put into things together, they are able to synthesize, increase engagement. Hopefully by using visual note taking, it increases engagement. Adding a visual or increases retention rate. Hopefully we can expand from that 8 seconds to at least 15 seconds or 20 seconds or 30 seconds, or even the best is 5 minutes. And take in our daily info visually, because in most conditions we take in our information in a form of visual. We have a lot of infographic, we have a lot of images, we've seen a lot of pictures uploaded in social media, all in a form of graphics. So a lot of daily info in a form of visual. Okay, so now combining visuals with text is simply more engaging. So what I'm trying to bring here in for everybody is to combine between the visuals with the text, so that it'll be more interesting, be more engaging, and probably creating more meaningful learning for the learners. So let's get into create graphics and images. Okay, all right. So I should continue on this before getting into demonstrating how to use notes and notability. So I will have to explain all this first before getting into that. Now, there are 6 fundamentals of visual note taking. Okay, I myself is in the process of learning and in the process, because this is something that we are passionate about. Because I myself is a visual type of person. So I would love to look at visual information. But before getting into that, there are 6 fundamentals of visual note taking. These are the things that you need to consider when it comes to visual note taking. The 6 elements, number 1 is letters. The letters itself, name it small font, name it capital letter, we should have letters. And then the bullets, how do we go about identifying and setting the bullets? What type of bullets are we using? So you can see number 2, all sorts of bullets can be used in visual note taking. Number 3 is frames. So name it frames in a form of the big frame used for one particular area, or even small frames for one chunks of topic or small topic, or even for your what you call dialogues. Yeah. And then the next element will be connectors. Okay, because this is visual note taking. So we're going to use a lot of connectors. Either you want to use arrows, either you want to use scribble lines, zigzag, dot, or any other lines that could serve as connectors for your information. And this one is something that usually being left behind in visual note taking, which is the use of shadows. Sometimes we use tones of colors. So use a lot of shadows. We're going to use a few shadows to bring it into life. So as you can see there, shadows for the mark and then for the car. And of course, the 6 fundamental elements would be people. So we do have orang lidi, what do you call stickman. Stickman, you can use any other drawing if is even better if you know how to draw. But all these are 6 important elements in visual note taking. Right, so how to make visual notes? Okay, pay it attention either at a talk or a lecture. When you listen to a presentation, and then you may want to look into when, what, so you analyze all sorts of information. And then if you were to come up with the visual notes, you may want to look into the font, the colors, the arrows. Remember the 6 elements, whether you have pencils or you want to use your finger. If in iPad, you may want to use finger if you don't have any pencils. Probably you use stylus if you have that device, either your finger or your stylus. But as I mentioned, we are no longer young. When we were young, we used to have that what do you call, sharp fingers. Okay, and then either we want to use images and drawings. Yeah? All these are important elements to make note taking. And then whether as we are taking notes, whether it is synchronized, so that you can think of it on the spot and visualize that, and then, or as you are listening to other people as they are talking, you may want to take into visual notes. All these are all the experts, note takers. But as to begin with, as an amateur, begin somewhere with these 6 fundamental elements. All right. So what are the benefits of visual note taking in teaching and learning? Number 1, colors, visuals increase willingness to read by 80%. And then it creates more ideas as you are using your virtual note. It can be virtual note because it's what we are doing now, or visual notes. It improves comprehension. People remember context and people learn better visually. When we say people learn better visually, it may be open for discussion. Perhaps you may say that your students are the auditory type, but as an educator, usually we analyze our learners. What type of learners do we have? If a lot of them are visuals, then fine. Visual note taking is one of the best approaches. So look at the art and science of visual note taking. So you can see here a lot of sketching going on. It may be rather complex, I would say. Some people may find it interesting, but some people may find it messy. It depends to the type of learners that you have. But as you can see here, in terms of colors, all are very nicely decided when it comes to blue, so that it reduces distraction. Yeah, that is in terms of design. Okay, how to have a visual note-taking based teaching. This is now getting into the main idea of the workshop. How to have a visual note-taking based teaching. Okay, this is an example. These are 2 examples on transport system in plants. This is by teacher Farah. Okay, this one is actually produced using Notability. Okay, I think teacher Farah used Notability to create these science notes. And on the right side, you can see another examples on a journey, a journey, eating on a budget in Japan. So it's like a traveling experience in Japan. So you can see the wordings, you can see the drawings, and then you see the graphic as well, especially the sushi, the onigiri. This one is the onigiri, right? Yeah, I love onigiri. Okay, so on this content or information. All right, now let's get into notes and notability. Such an introduction. Okay. Have you ever heard Notes and Notability before? Have you ever seen these two logos anywhere? Maybe you can respond. Notes, yeah, okay. Yes, Note in iPhone, only Notes, but never Notability. Have you ever used Notes even if in your iPhone? Just a random questions. Notes here on iPad, yes. Yes, right. Notes in iPhone, great. So you are very familiar with Notes. Probably Notability because it is, as I mentioned just now, it is a payable, something that is need to be paid for you to use. Yeah, you prefer OneNote, great. OneNote is another tool that can be used for note taking actually, even if for visual note taking. Yes. OneNote is, I think it's friendly to Android, right? I think OneNote is very friendly to Android. These two, unfortunately, is within that Apple ecosystem, iOS, even Notability. Yep, OneNote is available on iPad and also on Android, if I'm not mistaken. Right. Okay. Uh, Great. Thank you so much for sharing, Jatindra. Okay, so these two apps I'm going to touch today during this 2 hours workshop. I'm trying to go into as much as possible, even if you don't have the chance to use it probably yet. You may have an iPad, but you have never thought of using notes more than note taking. So let's just get into visual note taking and how to use these two available apps. Not available apps, Notes is yes, available apps on iPad, but Notability is something that you need to download and pay for lifetime, once for lifetime. Okay, I'm going to begin with teaching with Notes apps, yeah, because this may be reflecting upon teachers, or if you are lecturers, if you are educators, if you are not teachers, if you are not educators, perhaps you are students or postgrad students participating in this conference, you can use this for your learning experience as well. Okay, so the first thing is Notes. If I were to take everybody a quick tour, sorry, on Notes apps, is if let's say just to show you, it is actually a built-in apps. You don't have to actually find it, but just in case, I just want to show you. In case if you don't find it in your iPhone or iPad, so if you were to just look in the Apple Store, it's a bit slow, yeah. Oh, cannot connect to Apple Store. Okay. No worries. Right. So I'm going to show you, this is what we call Notes. Yeah, it is actually a native app. So it is supposed to be available without you need to download the apps in your iPad, even in your iPhone. It is a native or built-in apps. So let's just take you through these apps. Okay. And as you can see here, these are all my dashboard with the notes available. So as yes, I do agree that this is one of the tools that is very friendly for us to take down notes, especially during meetings and such. But what I want to highlight here is the use of notes for visual note taking. It is a very simple application whereby you can see on the left side is actually where the folders are located. So you can find all these folders. As for myself, I've put into different folders for different work, like for example. So here are all the, what do you call, the files or the notes, yeah, available to be available on dashboard. All right. So if I were to show you one, okay, there are 3 dots here. Okay, if you were to press on the 3 dots, we can change how it is appearing. in terms of the what you call interface. You can change into a list, but I would prefer this one so that it's easier for me to see. And then if you were to add new one, so you can tap on this what you call a new documents, where you can tap on it, and this is the a new file, new document of notes. It's a very blank slate, I would say. It depends on you, on how you write. You can either scribble, or you can also type. Yeah, wait, one moment. Oops. All right, one moment. It's a bit lagging. Yeah. Okay, you can also use this what you call pen feature. It will change into words. Yeah, for example, the happy day. Okay, so it will change into words straight away if you were to use this feature. And all these are your drawing utensils, whereby we have pen. Okay, if you were to scribbles, hello everyone. So this is where you use scribbles. Okay, this is the highlighter, so you can highlight. Okay, this is sort of pencils. Okay, if you want to just use some people, it depends. Happy birthday. Some people they prefer to use pencil, but I would prefer to use pen, so that is clearer. And this is eraser. This one is the eraser function. You can actually erase what you have written. Okay, and we have lasso. Lasso is for us to select a few what do you call a few object, and then delete. Okay, there is the lasso feature. And then we have ruler, just in case if you need to draw something, we can use this ruler to, sorry, oops, wait, I need to change this. Okay, so we have our ruler. Okay, and we can also rotate this ruler into right, so we can use this ruler, and these are all colors, where we want to change the colors of the pencil, the colors of the pen, the colors of the highlighter and such. Okay, this is what Notes is all about. And what I like about it is that there's a lot of function that can be used. I'll show after this one by one, whereby we can make checklist. This is the checklist. Okay, so we have the checklist. I'll demonstrate after this. And then we can scan document, we can take photos, choose photos or videos. And this is the pen feature. Okay, when you tap on this, okay, this pen feature, drawing tools will come out. And you can also share your notes, send a copy. Share notes mean if you were to collaborate with other people for your visual note taking in this context. And you can send a copy of your notes to others. And you can also find notes if you want to compare with yours and move to a different folder. Let's say you have created a folder, you want to move into a different folder, and so on. You can also change. Yeah? Let's say, for example, let's say it's some people, they are not able to work with a blank sheet. So what you can do, you can put in lines and grids. So you can either choose small lines or bigger lines, or same goes to the grids as well. So if you were to tap on this, you will have the grid, so it's easier for you to write or to draw. So you have a grid. Yeah, and what I'm going to show you is I'm going to touch into the features of notes. Yeah, all right. Okay, so let's look at content for lecture. This is one examples. So you can use notes to probably have some visual note taking for your learners to understand, like for example, how to do a storyboarding here. And I have one example that probably I can show you. Okay, let me just close this. Right. Okay, this is on urine, yeah, how urine is actually produced. So you can see here, just using notes, probably a bit messy, but that's why visual note that's what visual note taking is. You can see the elements of colors, the elements of handwriting, words, and also highlighting and images. So you can see here examples of notes being created using notes. Okay, we have also these elements of highlighting key points or key context. And then we have image, and then we have further explanation about nephron here. So we can add in a few information together with some labelings. And then we have also, we can also add in other images like this here. And we can also add in other images within this one visual note taking. Other than the one that we have created, the one that we have drawn, we can also add in other images like this, meaning that taking real photos. And this is to bring into context in a way. We can also probably, not using notes and notability, you can ask your students to take pictures and label. Yeah, like for example here, when a person drink water, what happened? Where does the water goes from pinggang, and then move into our what do you call cortex. I'm not a science person, actually I've just come up with this example. Okay, all right. And apart from that, you can move on explaining and using other features in notes. So this is in OneNote, yeah. Not OneNote, I mean in one file using notes, yeah. So you can add in the checklist, tables, and then you can also add in more explanation and the rest lah. And what good about it is you can add in other information within one particular file. Okay, and let's just look at, right, how do we create and format a new note. So we are going to go about preparing our notes, visual note taking. Yeah. Okay, so oh yeah, before that, maybe I can show you another examples. This is one examples that students came out with on development of a mobile-based learning. So when they want to present their project or pitch their idea, rather than having in a form of presentation slide, they can pitch using visual note taking. So this is one examples. And then what would be the research process? And then what are the things that they will use? So at what level they are doing now, whether they have done the analysis, whether they have design, they have went through the development process, and just left with evaluating the apps, for example. So there are other information inserted. We can also insert video within one file in the notes. Okay, let's just go to one example in creating new notes. If you have your iPad with me, if long notes, what happens if we import to PDF? Okay, if we have a long notes, it will import into PDF in a form of pages, meaning that it will be separated into different pages. Yes, it will be automatically separated. So I would suggest you to have a little bit of space between different pages. That's why at times I prefer to use Notability, because in Notability you can actually put into different pages straight away as compared to notes, because it is like a long long sheets in notes. So as compared to Notability, you can separate them into different pages. All right. Now, so this is a blank one. Shall I repeat? Yes. There is one constraint of using notes if you were to convert into PDF. Okay. If you were to begin with a new one, you can tap on the create new document. Okay, so this is assuming that this is your new document, and even if you, let's say you want to create a new topic, you can either write or you can type. Like for example, let's say we want to talk about probably okay, photosynthesis probably. Photosynthesis. Okay, for example. You can even, okay, this is BM. Yeah, change into English. Photosynthesis. Okay, right. So let's say you want to write, you can also write. Okay, tap on this. Okay, but of course, if you were to write, you need a pencil lah. If you don't have pencils, definitely you can still tap. Just use your fingers. You can tap and you can still scribble using your fingers. It's okay so far if you were to use fingers, but at one point you'll get yourself tired lah using fingers. Yeah. Okay. Photosynthesis. So still it's not that fine lah, but that's why I would suggest using a pencil. Okay. So that is on how to create a new document. So this is how the dashboard looks like. Okay, so you can actually add sketches. This is one example of sketches whereby you can add in as simple as learning styles. So let's say if you want to add sketches, okay. Let me just erase this first. Okay, let's just go, let's just use, okay. As simple as, let's just simple topic so everybody is able to relate. Okay, let's say we talk about learning styles. So you can just write learning styles. Remember the frame element. So you add in the frame. Okay, and remember the shadow element. So you can add in the shadow a bit. Okay, so there are, let's say, 3 learning styles. You can change actually the color. So let's say we want to have one with, let's just have visual. Okay, let's say we have audio, okay, auditory. And let's say we have, so we just use both of our fingers and move, push. We have kinesthetic learners. So we can, change the color of the arrow. If you have iPad, let's do this together with me. Perhaps you can share your work after this. Okay, so what is visual? Maybe you want to draw eyes. Okay, so we can have eyes. Right now, my hands shaking. Right, so we can draw eyes. Okay, so to show, and this is constraint of notes is that you cannot color, but you can actually modify and be creative enough by using highlight. So you can use highlight to color. So what I am going to do, I'm going to color the eyes. So I'm going to use highlighter. If it is too big, okay, you can change into a more fine highlighter. So you have the eyes colored. Okay, and let's say auditory, let's have, okay, right, and then kinesthetic, probably shall we draw hands. Okay, those are kinesthetic learners. But however, perhaps you want to add in some elements of colors into it. Okay, so we can have visuals, maybe we can have auditory, or maybe we can have colors for kinesthetic. So you can change this into, oops, we can change this. Okay, you can play around with it, okay, to make it more colorful. All right, and probably you can add in some description to it. Yeah. All right, like visuals. Don't forget to change. Change to pen. Learn better using images, for example. Okay, so you can create the bubble. Okay, maybe learn better using audio, probably. Okay, and all right. Okay, learn better using movement. So you can also, and of course it can be expanded depending on whatever information that you have. And if you think that you can draw more, even if you think you have more information, you can add in maybe a little bit of example. Okay, listen to others probably. Okay, this one probably you can expand. Okay, watch videos, for example, and this you can expand. Sorry. Okay. Oops. Okay. Playing games, for example, and you can keep on expanding within OneNote, using one visual note taking. This is one example. All right. So usually, as we are teaching, we can also get into explaining to our learners. As we are explaining, we can draw this straight away. Yeah. What do you think? Can you respond? Perhaps in the chat box, whether is it okay for you to, as you are explaining, you come out with the note taking, visual note taking. So at the end of the day, right after the lesson, everybody can get the same notes. What do you think of that idea?
I think it is good.
May I know who was saying this now?
Nurul.
Nurul, okay, all right. So one way is good that either as an educator, as you are explaining to your learners will be waiting for the information that is going to be vomited out during the lesson. So they were waiting. What is it all about? What are we going to draw? On the other hand, if you have learners who are on top of that, if you have learners who are actually with the similar device, you can ask to collaborate with them, and they can add into the same sheet, this blank sheet, for them to add in what they have understood. That is also another way of doing it. Even if you were to have the drawing beforehand, to prepare yourself before coming into class, and it is more of you showing the images, and your learners may need to put into context the little information that they have heard from your lecture, and get into meaningful understanding. So there are so many approaches being used within one context of using visual note taking for teaching and learning. Okay, Chitendra, it will be different. Can you elaborate further, or what do you mean by it will be different? It will be great to have your sharing as well, perhaps.
Right. I answered for your question. The outcome of the note taking, will it be same or different? Right. That was the question you asked it.
Sorry.
Maybe I thought your question was whether the outcome of the note taking will be different or same among the students.
Right, great. Yes, thank you for your response. However, it is doable, right, to have this type of teaching and learning in actually either in an asynchronous session online or face-to-face. As we are entering the class, instead of providing the slides in advance, we can just work together with our learners. What do you understand by learning style, for example? And then they will be like eagerly waiting for our information based on the visual drawings. And sometimes I myself, when I teach with my students, when I start into what image should I draw when I want to present this, to represent certain object, So I'll ask my students, what do you think should I draw here? So somehow or rather they'll get themselves engaged and provide me with options. So if I were to get them into the drawing, even with they don't have any device for them to draw with me, I'm the one who did the drawing. They will get into contributing ideas. I'll sometimes ask them, what should I draw under auditory? What do you think? Because they have read beforehand. Usually my approach would be flip learning, whereby they have read all information beforehand. So when we meet, everybody come with a prior knowledge. So as we are talking here, like for example, talking about learning styles, I'll ask them what they have understood, what they have read, and I'll begin with learning styles and ask them to give some feedback based on your reading. How many learning styles that you have read? So they'll give the answers. As they are giving the answers, like for example, when I wrote visual, I would also ask them, what should I draw under visual? So what do you think? What do you understood by visual learners, by learning through visual? So they say, it's what you see, what you watch, what you have observed. So what would be the best object for me to draw under visual? They'll probably suggest eyes. So I'll draw. So it's very engaged in a way lah. So those are the things that I'm still improving. I'm still looking into the right way of teaching using visual notes. I'm still experimenting, I would say. And yeah, since the institution will be opening soon, when we have face-to-face, it will be a different experiment, because as for now, we are using this online thingy, Zoom, Meet, Teams, it's still synchronous. Probably when we have like face-to-face interaction, will be a different way of doing this visual note taking, right? So this is one way that you can use with your learners. And if I were to bring back to my notes, it's good that even if you use notes, you can still have handwriting and at the same time recognize objects. So as I was showing just now, let's say if, oops, we have to move using both fingers, or else it'll be like chanting like this. So if you were to move using 2 fingers, then it will move. Okay, all right. As I mentioned just now, these notes also recognize handwriting. For example, hello, everyone. Okay, and also these notes recognize shapes. For example, let's say you want to draw a circle, so it will recognize straight away. If let's say you want to draw a square, okay, so it can correct it for you. Even triangle, okay, even rectangle, okay, even curvy line, okay, even I think arrow. Can we? Yeah. One moment. Let me just test. Okay, cannot. Yeah, oval. Sorry, it's oval. Okay, so you can have that shape recognized. Even love. I see. Those are things that what I like about using notes. Like for example, let's say you have things in between, probably Gen Z. So you have your arrow here, and then you want to draw a heart shape. So it will be recognized. And then you have another part, okay, and you want to draw a square. It will be recognized. It's very easy for you to, it's a very friendly application. Okay, moving on, looking into project presentation, okay, so we can also use, other than for us to teach our learners, we can also encourage our learners to use notes for project presentation rather than using PowerPoint slide. As compared to previous practice, students will prepare PowerPoint slides, and then at the end they will just show us the slides. But another way just to change the practices, apart from using PowerPoint slides, you can also use this to present project. Any additional features can be added. Okay. Yes, you can add in GIFs or emojis. Okay. Like for example, I will show you after this how to add in images. All right. Okay. I want to show you on how to use these notes to present information or visual note taking on using checklists, images, web links, scan document, handwritten notes, or sketches. So here I'm going to show you how to insert in images, how to insert in emojis, or how to insert in GIF file. Okay. It may not be as good as Keynote, whereby if you were to use Keynote itself, you can just insert a lot of features into it or animate things, but in words you can still, in notes you can still add in images. Like for example, let's say okay, you can tap on this camera feature, and you can scan document. Like for example, I hope I can show this, if I can show this or not. Okay, all right. Okay, I have, let's say, one document here. Oops, sorry. Just 10%. Let's say we have taken one document, and then keep scan. Okay, and save. So now we have, okay, okay, so now we have, yeah. Oops, sorry. Okay, one moment. I just open one, and then I need to retake this again. Okay, scan document. Okay, let's say we have this one. You can see how it is scanned, yeah, how a document is scanned. It's very clear. You can see here is very clear. Dilarang duduk di sini. So you can now annotate. If you were to have like visual note taking, what are the things that you can see here? So you can actually, okay, you can actually annotate. Yeah. Sorry, my internet is rather slow. Okay, you can annotate here. One moment. Right, okay. Yeah, I need to connect my pencil. Am I still in? All right. Okay. So let's just not it's internet connection, yeah. Okay. So you can actually annotate here by right. Okay, you can actually annotate here. Okay, what are the things that you can see? What are the things, the elements, let's say elements of a poster. So students can actually come out with, okay, different elements. Okay, probably 5. Number 1 could be colors. Number 2 could be images, could be in terms of space or design, or probably in a form of words or text. This example. And other than this, okay, you can also add in pictures, as I mentioned just now. Okay, take a photo or video. Like for example, if you want to add in photo, right? Sorry, this one is if you were to take live photos, yeah. But if you were to choose a photo or video, so this is the one that is available in the gallery. Okay, so you can add in one, for example, this video, we can add. All right. So, why is it here? Let me just move to, okay, let me just move to somewhere else here, right? Okay, choose a photo. All right. Okay, dia buat perangai pula. Okay, let's just move this somewhere else. Okay. Right. Okay, one moment, yeah. My iPad is stuck. Okay, let me just open a new file. I think it's jammed. All right, open a new file, choose a photo. Okay, let's say we're using this photo. So you can add in images, available images. You can also annotate on the image. This is what I mentioned just now when you want to annotate. Let's say you have one image and you want to annotate. You have your visual note taking, so you want to annotate the shapes. Let's say, for example, you want to label. You can now use this and label. For example, this is what, this is what, this is what we call, this is what we call. So you can actually annotate on one image, okay, using notes as well. And talking about emoji is either you want to add in the emoji in a form of image, or you can add in using iPad with this feature. Okay, this one. Okay, so you can still add in emojis here. For example, like this. Okay, or you have like this. You are still able to add in emojis. However, again, if I were to say, it's rather difficult if you were to arrange the location of the image, because I think at this moment, notes would be they should upgrade in one way on how to make sure images is easily moved within one file. As for now, it is all arranged like in sequence, in lines, rather than put it anywhere we want. Cannot. So it is under like one row. Okay, but you can insert emojis, you can insert images, and also if you were to insert images, you can also annotate on the image, like the one that I have on top with this what do you call it, distractor. Yeah. All right, so moving on. Okay, so far so good. Is everyone okay so far? All right. Okay. So I would like to add on how to use the checklist feature. So let's say if you have, before getting into your visual notes, maybe you have sort of checklist to be shown to your learners. You may want to use these checklist features here. It's a very simple feature, but I found it rather meaningful, because let's say if we have a few topics to be discussed, maybe we can talk about topic 1, any topics, these are all examples, topic 2 or topic 3. So you can begin your visual note taking, and then once you have completed one topic, you may want to tap on, so you have done with topic 1. Okay, this is one examples of checklist I usually use for my learners, and especially when it comes to processes. Let's say we are talking about instructional design, we talk about analyze, design, develop, implement, and evaluate, as we are explaining one process, and we tap on, now we have done the analysis part. So next week we will move into the next part, which is on design phase. So that is one example of checklist that I usually use with my learners. So it's easier. Let's say if we will meet, if we were to meet next week, we have already aware that, okay, we have touched this last week. Now let's continue with topic 2. So it is more of monitoring wise in a way. Okay. Moving on to, I have done on scanned document, I have done on handwritten notes, and I have done on the sketches. Okay, I have done on adding a checklist. As what I said just now, I use this for example to talk about phases with my learners before coming into sketching each process. For example, let's say on analysis part, so if we have done this, we tap on the checklist, that means we have scattered this. And then the next part will be design and develop. The next part will be implement and evaluate. These are all examples that I've done with my learners. And other than that, talking about visual note taking, you may also want to have elements of table. Sometimes you have drawn something visually, but on the other side of it, you want to add on tables. That can also be done with Notability. For example, time flies. It's 3:20. Okay, so you can see the features here on adding table. So you can tap on adding table and you can put in, like for example, phase. Okay, phase 1. Okay, phase 2, for example. So we can always add on. Phase 3. And what do we have in phase 1? Perhaps analyze. And phase 2, design and develop, for example. And phase 3 is implement and evaluate. So you can also add into the table what are the things done under analysis. Analyze, analyze learners' needs, for example. Okay, and then design the interface. Okay, and then probably and develop the tabs. Okay, and then test the apps with learners and evaluate the usability. For example, these are all examples. I may not be having specific examples according to everybody's content. So I'm using the one that is general that everybody may be able to understand. Okay, so you can add in tables. Okay, if you feel like this need to be moved, you can always tap and move to the other side. If you feel that you want to change the position, it's very user friendly. Otherwise, if you were to use Excel, add in few things, you may need to rearrange, you may need to merge a few cells, you may need to reorganize and such. So that's why I would prefer to use Notes, because it's easy for me to come up with a table. And even if I am not happy with the arrangement, I can just move like this. So it's much easier and very user friendly. So as simple as that. And if I were to also continue looking into add sketches, so I've a few examples here. It's the same as what I've shown just now. You can add in sketches, like for example, the one done by my friend here on equilibrium in static. So it may be a bit wordy, but you can see different colors used to highlight the content of each key concept. Like for example, here on what is the problem, or who is affected, what is the why is it a problem, and then how can we improve, and then how to tackle the problem, when to tackle the problem. So these are few ways. You can also see elements of numbering in the visual note taking. Okay. And as I mentioned just now, why I like about using Note is that you can see here example of grids provided. So you can actually use this to come up with a storyboard in a more clear manner. And of course, it's easier for you to draw, as I mentioned just now, because of the recognized shapes. For example, here we can add in. All right, line grids. So I just need to add in line grids here. Okay, for example, what we can do is actually we can, like for example, the one that I've shown just now on the storyboard, you can add in of the apps for example. So the first part, you can, even if you have this grid line and you feel like myself, my hand is very shaky. So if I were to draw, it's like still not nice, because even with the grid lines, but don't be afraid, because the notes is able to recognize shape. So you can just draw freely and then let the shape, alamak, sana dia tak sambung. Dia provided that it has to be connected. Alright, one moment. Okay. So it has to be one line like this. So it will be recognized. Example, this is one example. So let's say this is the interface, okay, and then you just draw as if like it is an iPad. Okay, even though it has to be balanced, the shape, but you can do that later. All right, this is one example, and then you can add in other elements in it. Okay, so you can have sort of a drawing inside. Okay, you can have the drawing, probably whatever. Okay, examples, and you can always okay, you can always change and explain what is this all about. Okay, the interface. Okay, and then what happened? You can bring in and you can always draw more shapes. Even though it's, you see, it's recognized. So you can just delete this. So you have no issue of drawing using notes. Yeah, let me just add in more boxes. Okay, you can have also small boxes in that big box. Okay, let's say you have a few things under one app. So you want to have a different topics. So you have a few. So it's very easy. So you don't have to use the ruler. Even if you want to draw something big and you need ruler, you can just take out the ruler. Use both of your fingers. Okay, and then just draw one line. Okay, and change this. Okay, let's say if you don't want to use because it's probably too big for you to use the recognized shape, you can still use this. Usually students, architecture students, they may want to have this to show their project, for example, or probably to give some visual notes of what they are doing. You see, if you were to use one finger, it'll draw for you. You have to move using 2 fingers. Okay, and then another line. So it's very easy for you to move around. And this ruler is also very friendly. You can just use it freely. Okay, and simply draw lines like this. Very easy. These are examples. Yeah. All right. So far so good.
Good.
All right. So is everyone still with me? Okay.
Yes,
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. And moving on, you can also add images and videos. I think I've shown how images can be added in OneNote, and other than that, you can also add videos. How to add videos, for example. Okay. All right. You can actually. Oops, you see, you used to one finger. Okay, let's add a video here. Choose a photo or video. Let's add one video. Add. Where is it? Where's the video? It's not appearing here. Where's the video? All right. Okay, let me just give some space. Sometimes the video is too big. choose a video. Let's find one video. Let me just find one video, yeah. Okay. So many drawings. Sorry about that. Okay. So let's say we have one video. Add in. Oh, where's the video? Yeah, I think the internet plays important role as well. I need to change this. Okay, it's okay. I need to move this somewhere else. Okay, let me just have the. Okay. Okay, because the fingers not able to be detected. Dia kena slowly and nicely done. Cannot too fast. Okay, so this is one examples of video being added on the note. So you can play. Sorry, this is not video. Oh dear, let me just choose a video. One moment, let me just choose a video so that you can see one examples. Okay, is this a video? Just add. Okay, where is the video now? It's quite lagging here. Maybe it's internet connection. One moment, I'm going to add again. Thank you so much. Please bear with me. Okay, is everything okay, Miss MC?
Yes, no problem.
Thank you. It's as usual. It's the internet connection, so it has some sort of effect to the apps. Hopefully, it will come out. Where is it? Okay, perhaps I'm going to open new files. It's easier for me to show. Add in video. All right, let me just add in one video. Okay, let me just show this. Hopefully, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, maybe a shorter video will do with this medium bandwidth connection. Okay, so you can also add in videos. This is an example of video. Okay. So you can also add in videos in the notepad. Okay, this is a random video, just to show you how it is added into notes. Okay. All right. Moving on. Okay, this is example of adding on extra information that you have from other sources, like for example on the net. So let's say you have this information on green environment, for example, and you want to have, apart from your visual, internet please be good. Okay, apart from having your visual note taking, you may want to add in other information from the internet. For example, using iPad, remember you can work split screen, so you can bring in or bring out your Safari. So this is one example of Safari. For example, let's just look for green environment. Okay, what is it about green environment? Okay, let's say, okay, of course, we have probably our visual note taking and such, and then we want to add in extra information for our students to read, or probably our students want to add in extra information for us to show that they have done the reading. That can also be done by adding information like this. Okay, you can work on split screen, and then let's say they have found one source of information and they want to add in whatever they have read. So you can just tap on this. Okay, let's say what is green environment. They can tap on this and just drag into notes. So now we have extra information, extra for the students to read apart from the notes that we have prepared for them, the visual note taking. You can add as many as possible if you want to. Like for example, what is green building? You can just tap on like this and drag into the other side. So now you can have a list of what you call other information for this one particular notes. Okay, and other than that, how time flies, huh? All right. I still have a few to show. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, and this is what working on split screen all about. I've shown you one example just now. And let's say we have a project summary and we want the students to refer at the same time or to look into other information at the same time, or probably working on a different screen on the same time. At the same time, for example, looking at let's say neuron, okay, for example, and okay lah, neutron lah, alright, okay, whatever, okay, and then we want to come out with one simple visual note takings with our learners, and we just tap on neutron. Okay, let's say we have information of neutron. Okay, an overview, for example, so we can work using side by side as we ask students to read on the other side. Just read this article. At the same time, you may want to try to describe in a form of visual note taking with your learners. If they are reading, ask them to take out what are the keywords, what are the important terms that they have read, what are the things that they could understand from whatever they have read. So we can work side by side and we can come up with the visual note taking on the other side. Okay, so you can work on split screens using notes. All right. And then, okay, this is one examples. You can also show YouTube or videos on the other side, and at the same time taking out the gist of what being delivered in one video and have some visual note taking with your learners. So this is one example. I have actually recorded because sometimes due to internet connection, it's very difficult for us to demonstrate. So I have recorded this.
Only through technology do today's students interact, but they are mobile in terms of the jobs they will have and the homes they will live in. It is therefore important to think about how you can equip this generation with not just content, but resilience in a changing world. Number 3, they're global. Today's generation of students are truly global and are the most likely generation to work in multiple countries. They're the most globally connected and influenced generation in history and are not limited to the local, but are global as never before. Number 4, they're digital. We've called the emerging generation Gen Alpha, but we also call them Generation Glass because it is not just pen and paper, but iPads and screens on which they will learn, which are designed to not just display the written, but the visual. While today's students need literacy, they also need digital skills to thrive in this changing world. Number 5, they're visual. In an era of information overload, messages have increasingly become image-based and signs, logos and brands communicate across the language barriers with colour.
Okay, so this is one example whereby you can actually show the YouTube on the other side and at the same time try to work with taking out what are the important elements from one video and then later on discuss with your learners whether they have also obtained the same information or similar information or anything that you have left behind within that visual note taking with your learners. And to answer to one question here, whether can we take notes collaboratively? Yes, using notes you can actually share collaboratively with your learners provided that they have also notes or using iPad. So that's why if I were to suggest, you can ask your learners, anyone with iPad, you feel free to collaborate with you. You can collaborate and share the links to the notes together with them. It is one way of collaborative learning tools, especially for your students, learners who are having iPad at the same time. Okay, and apart from working side by side, split screen, you can also have the video on top. This is another example. So instead of split screen, you can have the video on top, and you can take note. It's a similar process. It's just another option to split screen.
Practice and application through homework. However, in the 21st century, content can now be accessed through technology anywhere at any time, and often in very visual and engaging forms. Thus, we have the flipping of education, where the learning takes place outside the classroom, but the essential engagement and practice is still conducted at school by the all-important facilitator rather than the teacher. Number 2, they're mobile. Not only through technology do today's students interact, but they are mobile in terms of the jobs they will have and the homes they will live in. It is therefore important to think about how you can equip this generation.
Okay, that is another example. It's a similar process. It's just the matter of one just now is having side-by-side screen, split screen, and the other one is to have the screen on top. Still referring to YouTube, and at the same time, you may want to jot down or have visual notes with your learners. Okay, so there are other things that can be done on notes, which are, it can turn handwriting into text. I've shown that, turning handwriting into text, and also turning voice into text, provided that the pronunciation is rather detected by the, what you call the iPad. Okay, let's say for example, without typing out, you can change it to recognizing voice, for example. Oh, because I'm using Zoom, so this feature is not, what do you call, it's not active, but if you have your own iPad, you can try using this. I should have actually recorded to demonstrate, but while on Zoom, I cannot actually demonstrate this one to record. So you can use this. Tap this as you are saying something, your voice will be recognized and will be turned into wordings here in the notes. So that is another way, and it will be very helpful for learners with. We are looking into experimenting into using iPad for the blinds. They can actually listen to lecture and have. Sorry, not for the blinds, for the hearing impaired learners, and they can have the lectures, listen to lectures from the lecturer, and then it will turn into wordings in notes. So somehow it is still being experimented and yet to see what are the findings. Okay. Moving on, I hope it is not too many to digest. I have yet to get into notability. No, don't worry, I'm not going to emphasize so much on notability because it is something that has to be paid. But however, as an educator, I think it's worth paying, don't worry. And now is once you have everything prepared, you can actually share your notes. Is either you use the sharing function. Sharing notes is only this first option is only those with the similar device, with similar application. Let's say from iPad to iPad, you can share notes, you can collaborate, anyone with iPad or anyone with MacBook, except those who are using MacBook, they were not able to add on using images or sketches. You can only add in words. Yeah, you can send a copy in a form of PDF file. Yes, as mentioned by one of the participants just now, it will be exported in a form of pages in PDF. And yes, it will be separated automatically by the application. So I would be suggesting if you were to use notes, you may want to add in more space. So when it is converted or exported in the form of PDF, it is actually nicely separated into pages like the one that you are planning to do. Okay, and Of course, if you want to share with students who are without iPad or without the device, might as well share or send a copy using PDF. So you can use this function as well. And let's say if that document is too confidential or too secret, you can actually lock your document. Anyone who want to access, they will not be able to access the document or notes with the lock feature, which is being locked in a way. That is why I think at one time it was famous that this one Ministry of can't remember his name. He's using iPad to present belanjawan. So they say that it's very confidential document. However, he's using this lock feature. So it's actually the documents are actually protected, would not be opened without the password. Okay. And another option, how about exporting the content into image or PDF? Yes, you can export the content into image or PDF for other users other than iOS or other than iPad users. You can still export that into PDF or even images. Even well, the fastest way for me, I usually just take screenshot and share with my learners. Sometimes it's quite difficult, so I take screenshot and share with my learners. That can also be done. Somehow we have to leverage what we have and be creative in that sense in a way. Okay, you can save as image. As you can see here, you can save as image. When you save as image, it will turn out into like this if you were to save as image. Okay, if it is too long, you may want to change it into export into PDF, but if it is very nicely located, then you can save into image and you'll get this kind of image to be shared with your learners, okay, or your students. And another apps which is on Notability. Just now it was only solely on Notes. A lot of things to be explored just using Notes. I would say that I myself is still exploring and a lot of things that is always get me excited about using Notes. But however, I have also explored Notability and I found Notability is very useful. Probably not for visual, other than visual note taking, I use Notability to mark my students' thesis. So most of the time I mark my students' thesis using Notability, and it's a very powerful apps whereby is the feeling is the same as scribbling the hard copy thesis, right? So Notability, yes, is another apps, and this is the logo, and I would say unfortunately this is only for iOS and not for Android. Of course, there are other note-taking apps that are friendly for Android users. Okay, right. And then this is the apps. As I mentioned just now, I bought this for 16 ringgit 90 cents. This was last year, not very current last year. I think I'm not sure what is the price now. You may want to check, but the price is lifetime, so you only need to pay once. So it's very worth investing. Okay, and then let's have a quick tour on Notability apps. If I were to take you to my Notability app, this is Notability. All right. Open Notability, and this is a very simple interface. This is the dashboard. So you can see the dashboard here. We have all notes, which are a lot of forms here. And at the same time, I do have a few examples of visual note taking. So if you can see here, probably one examples of visual note taking that is being used for a sketch as a visual note taking on how to actually use colors and shadows adding to your visual note taking. And probably this another one is on experiential learning, as simple as this. Okay, how to explain experiential learning visually to your learners, and more examples. Okay, there are a few examples here. So if I were to show you the interface, this is the dashboard whereby all notes are listed here. Okay, and to add new what do you call a document, you can tap on this this sign. okay, this symbol, and it will bring you to a blank sheet for you to start sketching or for you to start your visual note taking. Okay, and then that's what I like about Notability, is that when you can actually rather than having one long sheet, you can actually separate them into pages. So if you were to tap on this, it will separate into different pages. So it's easier for you to work on. Even if you were to convert them into PDF, you'll have this separated into pages straight away. So you are working now in different pages. Okay, and we have almost the same features. We still have these drawing tools. T means text. If you were to use text, so you can use text to write the topic. Okay, or if you want to scribble, you can tap on this what do you call this symbol. Tap on this and you can add on. You can choose which color. You can choose the thickness of your pen. This is this thick, or if you can go as thick as this. Yeah, so it depends on what you want to write. And as compared to notes, is almost similar. It can still recognize shapes. So let's say if you have this, okay, it can still recognize shape. And what good about Notability as compared to notes? Yeah, just now if you were to use notes, you can, oh, now it's 37.90, still cheap. Mr. Leslie, it's still cheap. If I were to tell you, at that time when I bought it, it was 50% discount. It was 16.90, but the price is 37.90 for lifetime. Yes, thank you so much for the information. As compared to notes, if you were to have your shape recognized, you cannot change the size. But for Notability, you can actually change the size. So that's what I like about Notability. Yeah, even if it's a round shape, you can still change the size. So it's a very powerful tool for you to use for note taking, right? And it's a similar feature as in notes. You can sketch, you can draw, you can have this highlighter. Yeah, we have also highlighter. You may choose a thicker pen, so you can highlight. Okay, you can highlight, or you may want to color. Unfortunately, there is no color feature for notes, but you can use highlighter to color whatever shapes or whatever sketch that you have. And then this is the, what do you call, the eraser. You can erase, okay, as simple as this. Okay, and this is the lasso button. Lasso is for us to select. Okay. And select, and let's say we want to delete or we want to duplicate, we just delete. Maybe you don't want to use the eraser, it's too difficult or too complex for you to delete. You may want to use this lasso function and select the object and delete. Okay, and also it's more similar with notes, whereby you can actually add on. Yeah, tap on this and you get add on photos. You can add on you can add pictures, live photos using your camera. You can scan a document. You can also add in GIF. Remember, one of the participants asked us now, can we insert GIF? Here in Notability, you can insert GIF directly. Okay, and then you can also use what, clips and stickies. Stickies usually sometimes we use for, let's say, our signatures. We can use stickies or even stick note. Let's say you have one stick note, you want to have stick notes, so you can also add in stick note and write comment. Yeah. Okay. So you can actually tap on this, and yeah, my internet is. You can always change and you can write something actually on the stick note. So you can write anything on the stick note. Yeah. Okay. And apart from that, you can use similar to notes. You can use lines, grids, dots, and typing. But in a way, this is more friendly tools as compared to notes. And if you were to share, you can always tap on this button. And you can share either using email, you can share either using Google Drive, you can share using iTunes, or print, you can print it, or you want to use other cloud services, or probably you want to share even using Telegram. So you can use Telegram and it will change into PDF, okay, version, and you can start sharing. You can see here format is either PDF or you want to use a different images, a different function here. And in the end, you can share. So in a way, it's a very useful application that worth buying, I would say. Okay. All right. So I think probably I may want to highlight here what are some I think I have highlighted when we had the tour just now. The tools here, you can use the text tools, you can use the pencils, you can use the highlighters, you can use the erasers, you can use the lasso, you can always use the hands to scroll through your notes. To scroll through your notes, you can use the hand. All right, these are the examples probably before I end up my session. These are all examples of visual note taking that I've done with my learners. Usually when we meet, the students have something, a prior knowledge that they have read beforehand. When we meet in our class, in our lesson, it is more of discussing and vomiting out whatever they have understood from their reading. And in the end, they'll get the chance to bring back the notes in a form of visual note taking. So everybody has the same note, so they can just keep it for them to read further. Okay, these are all examples of visual note taking. Sometimes, if I don't use notes, if I don't use Notability, I end up using keynotes. It depends on how complex it is. If it is not that complex, I may use keynote. If it is too complex, I may resort in Notability as compared to other tools. All right, so it's 4 and me finish early, probably sorry, but just to highlight here, we listen, we filter, we synthesize and visualize ideas at the heart of our conversation. So I believe in visual note taking is very powerful approach because as we are listening, we are also filtering information. At the same time, we synthesize what we have understood, and we try to visualize our ideas using visual note taking. So in a way, it's somehow getting into deep learning and a deep understanding of the context or the content of what we are delivering to our learners, or on the other hand, what the learners received from us as educator or lecturer. It may be challenging at one time. Yes, I do admit I myself, I am not a good I'm not an artist. I don't draw very well, but I love practices. At one point, students laugh at me because they say, what are you trying to draw, doctor? So I say, it's something like this, but more of getting engaged with the learners when I ask them, are they supposed to be like this? If not, then what do you think is the right way of drawing this? So what would be the best object to represent this as an idea? So we are more of they are more engaged in that sense because they love the idea of when we ask and seek their opinion, they feel, I think, recognized in a way, probably. So a lot of engagement going on rather than apart from understanding the content, we have exchange opinion at the same time in one lesson. So yeah, words are difficult for the brain to retain. Visuals are concrete and more easily remembered. The 3 key points here: deep understanding and visual notes, create graphic and images, and teach with notes and notability. So with that, I would like to thank everybody for listening. Thank you very much. I'm truly sorry whatever technical issues that we have experienced now with the internet connection and so on, the lagging part. my bad, and I hope that I can improve in the future. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you for participating. Over to you, Miss MC.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Harwati. Such a pleasure to having you for this session. Even it is afternoon session, but it's such a lively presentation actually. Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you again, Dr. Harwati, for sharing with us your expertise in this area. It has been a very interesting session indeed. All right, just a note to everyone. After this, we will take a selfie together. We would like to encourage fellow participants, if they don't mind, using the iLRF virtual Zoom background, which are now shared in the chat panel. Now, we have come to the end of our day one of the RMU International Learning Resources Festival 2021. But before we end, I would like to mention that we have more exciting activities in store for you tomorrow. They include the launching of the festival by our Honorable Professor Abdul Aziz Baba, Vice Chancellor and President, and some welcome remarks by Professor Vishna Devi Nadaraja, IMU Pro Vice Chancellor of Education and Institutional Development. This will be followed by a keynote discussion on the topic of adapting to future learning demands, machine learning. This discussion will be hosted by two of our esteemed speakers, Dr. Muhammad Reza and Professor Bohsier, who are the subject matter experts in this area. All right, now let's take a selfie. We would appreciate if everyone can turn on their camera. Okay, so our technical team, ready? Okay, we would appreciate if everyone can turn on their camera. Okay. Yeah. All right, maybe everyone can turn on your camera. We will take a selfie in a minute. All right, our technical team, ready? All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. One more time. 1, 2, 3, smile. All right, thank you everyone. Okay, now you can turn off your camera. Before we go, we would really appreciate your feedback on today's activities. Would everybody go to the online feedback form, which can be accessed by scanning the QR code displayed on the screen, and supply us with their comments. We also have pasted the link on the chat box. Okay, with that, on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to thank all of you for joining us today. See you again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Until then, have a good afternoon, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.